Good evening. It's Saturday, the 6th of September. You're tuned in to our 10 p.m. newscast coming to you from Arirang's news centre in Seoul. It's very good to have you with us on this first day of the 5-day Chuseok or Korean Thanksgiving break. I'm Mark Broome. Well, as is customary over Korea's long holiday breaks, we start with the latest traffic situation and the annual outflow of millions of Koreans heading to their hometowns for Chuseok was well underway on this Saturday. The Korea Expressway Corporation estimates that about 500,000 cars will have left Seoul as of the end of the day. If you were to leave right now, it would take, as you can see on the map there, 4 hours, 20 minutes to travel from Seoul to the southern port city of Busan, 3 hours and 20 minutes from Seoul to Gwangju, and 3 hours and 20 minutes from the capital to Gangneung on the east coast. Now, judging by those travel times, expressways really aren't that congested at all tonight. Over the course of the entire 5-day Chuseok holiday, an estimated 40 million Koreans are expected to travel from one place to another, so expressways will be busier than normal until Wednesday. Now, Chuseok is a time of year when families gather to celebrate the good harvest and share gifts in a show of gratitude to one another. Our Son Jung-in shows us how the types of presents given over the years have changed.
Chuseok gifts still tend to be practical in nature, but were even more so in the 1950s when the country was struggling from the aftermath of the Korean War. Giving and receiving gifts was considered lavish at the time, and it was not until in the 1960s when it became more common for people to exchange daily necessities like sugar, soap, or condiments as presents. Then when the country started to develop economically in the 1970s, so did the gift options. Cooking oil, toothpaste, instant coffee sets, as well as cosmetics and female hosiery were among the favorites for parents and relatives, while some wealthier people chose to give television sets and rice cookers. In the 80s, gift sets of fruit, meat, and beauty products started to catch on. In the 90s, it was gift vouchers that emerged as a more convenient option, while health-related products such as honey and ginseng also gained popularity. With the coming of the 21st century, people's interests focused more on well-being, and they prepared fancier gifts like sets of olive oil, natural vinegar, and electronic devices. While gift-giving for Chuseok has changed over decades, one thing is sure to stay the same: sharing in the holiday spirit by expressing gratitude to friends and families. Son Jung-in, Arirang News.
Now, in the rest of the day's news, North Korea may not be feeling the Chuseok spirit because it's been test-firing more projectiles off its east coast on this Saturday. South Korea's military believes the short-range missiles are, in fact, the latest additions to the North's weaponry. Our Kim Hyun-bin reports.
North Korea launched 3 short-range missiles from a site in its eastern border town of Wonsan on Saturday at around 7 a.m. Korea time. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff says it believes the missiles flew around 200 kilometers before coming down in the East Sea. South Korean military officials think the latest firings were aimed at improving the quality of the North's new short-range tactical missiles. They haven't ruled out that the firings could also be an armed protest. The Joint Chiefs of Staff is on guard against additional launches as there's speculation North Korean leader Kim Jong-un may have personally observed Saturday's launches. Military officials in Seoul say short-range projectiles fired by North Korea in recent weeks were newly developed novel tactical missiles, which are different from the regime's existing KN-02 missiles and 300mm multiple rocket launcher.
North Korea has increased the maximum range of its short-distance missile from 170 kilometers to over 200 kilometers, and it looks much more stable. North Korea's missile capabilities are more developed than we thought, and they pose a grave threat to our allies and military bases.
The South Korean military is paying attention to any unusual movements north of the border over the rest of the Chuseok holiday. North Korea has test-fired more than 100 missiles on 19 different occasions so far this year. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
North Korea's key nuclear diplomat has left Pyongyang for a rare tour of Europe in a move experts think is aimed at bringing the communist regime out of its diplomatic isolation. A diplomatic source says Kang Seok-ju appeared to make a brief stopover in Beijing en route to Berlin, where he is thought to have met with North Korea's ambassador to China. It's still not known what the actual purpose of Kang's trip to Germany, Belgium, Switzerland and Italy actually is, but the source says Kang will likely meet with his Chinese counterpart Wang Jiarui in Beijing after he wraps up his trip to Europe. If this does happen, it will mark the first high-level interaction between North Korea and China since the execution late last year of the North Korean leader's once powerful uncle Jang Sung-taek, who had worked closely with Beijing for many years. The United States says its recent appointment of a new special nuclear envoy for the six-party talks is not an indication of any change in policy to reinvigorate the long-stalled multilateral talks on North Korea's denuclearization. Speculation rose after the post, which had been left vacant for close to a year in actual fact, was filled by Sidney Seiler, former director for Korea at the U.S. National Security Council. Deputy State Department spokesperson Marie Harf reiterated Friday that Pyongyang needs to take concrete steps to demonstrate its commitment to denuclearization before any talks can take place. The six-party talks between the two Koreas, the U.S., China, Japan and Russia, have been stalled since 2008. Now, the ceasefire between Ukraine and pro-Russian rebels appears to be holding, albeit rather tentatively, after nearly 6 months of fighting that has killed more than 2,500 people. The details of the ceasefire that was signed in Belarus on Friday include amnesty for fighters who disarm and have not committed any serious crimes, the disbanding of militias, the release of hostages, and a 10-kilometer buffer zone to be created along the Russian-Ukraine border. The head of NATO, Anders Fogh Rasmussen, welcomed this agreement, saying he hoped that it could be the start of a constructive political process. Meanwhile, Russia's foreign ministry warned on Saturday that there will be an unspecified reaction if the EU implements new sanctions against Moscow over its role in the crisis. From one crisis to another, namely that the Ebola outbreak ravaging West Africa, the World Health Organization says 2 potential vaccines against the deadly virus could be available as soon as November. They'll be the first given to healthcare workers as soon as they can. They're most at risk, of course, of exposure to this disease. United Nations Secretary General, speaking on Friday, says the UN is going to establish an Ebola crisis center to stop the spread of the virus in 6 to 9 months, he hopes at least. And Ban Ki-moon made the remarks following a meeting on the Ebola epidemic with senior leaders and experts from across the United Nations system. Now, the Chuseok holiday we're currently enjoying here in Korea gives us the opportunity, and everyone around the country, the opportunity to enjoy some cultural activities as we have some time off. Park Ji-won introduces some of the latest exhibitions which will stay open throughout the 5-day break.
Culture Station 2H4 is a gallery now, but it used to be Seoul's central train station until the early 2000s. Still located next to the current Seoul railway station, the venue has been offering free exhibitions and is currently displaying the natural color multiple flower show. The exhibition is full of color, but the subjects are trite and mediocre and made from cheap and worn-out materials. It aims to bring out the hidden beauty and grace in traditionally ordinary or ugly things, like this room full of wreckage and ruin. Finding the beauty in everything, the exhibition wants to show that flowers can blossom from banality. After seeing the ordinary as something that can be beautiful, what about experiencing something extraordinary? This new installation art exhibition gives visitors a supernatural thrill by presenting works that focus on invisible yet existing sensations, like these bells that ring according to infrared radiation emitted by people passing by. 5 artists are displaying experimental pieces that help visitors see the unseen, such as this rustic radio broadcasting system that is powered by the energy generated by these candles, symbolizing the power of persistent wishes and desire. And for those looking for some simple fun and rest, this museum is another place worth checking out over the holidays. It not only offers numerous trick art pieces and optical illusion picture zones, but also a healing room where visitors can wash away their stress by listening to peaceful music while relaxing on a hammock. 박지원, Arirang News.
And finally, leaving you with the weather for the Chuseok period. It's going to be a mild night tonight with the overnight low only dipping to 19 degrees Celsius in Seoul. And looking ahead to the rest of the Chuseok break through Wednesday, it's going to be dry, sunny and very warm with daytime highs around the nation in the high 20s to low 30s. Let's take a look at the weather conditions wherever you're watching us in the world. And that's all we have for you at this hour. For more of the latest stories, don't forget to check out our website, arirang.co.kr/news. If you're watching us in Korea, do enjoy the rest of your Chuseok break. Goodbye.